Alright guys, we have a new official update on WWE 2K15 courtesy of Jared, the WWE Games community manager, and straight off the bat it confirms another member of this year's game in Naomi. So that takes us up to 7 members of this year's roster that have been revealed: Bray Wyatt, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Cesaro, Hulk Hogan, AJ Lee, and now Naomi. Now obviously with Naomi's inclusion it is 99.9% guaranteed that we will get Cameron alongside her in this year's game, as you can't really have one without the other, so this should really be their first outing in the game after they were included but not playable in the last 2 games. Apart from the reveal of Naomi, there's nothing else in the update that we haven't already heard, but there is a Bray Wyatt wallpaper available, so I'll link you to that in the video description. And that's all for Jared's update, but the good folks over at videogamer.com have a new article up, which you'll find a link to in the video description, and the editor of the article, Simon Miller, is someone that I know from his time working at THQ UK, and he's a really big fan of wrestling and an actual wrestler himself, so of all articles on the game, after reading this and seeing him excited for the game, I know we're in for something good this year. First up, a lot of the article covers what we've already heard from Game Informer, but the article does note that there is an obvious step up in the graphics this year on current gen, which is good news for PS3 and 360 gamers, with better textures and even the material on clothing, along with Daniel Bryan's beard. However, I'm afraid I've got some bad news, because GameSpot have confirmed that the head and body scanning technology won't be used for the current gen version, as according to 2K it was developed specifically for PS4 and Xbox One. One of the other graphical changes that is mentioned is that 2K have said they'll be changing the lighting, and I think that alone will make a huge difference, because if we go back to SmackDown vs Raw 2008 and the realistic lighting that that game had, it was a lot darker and it really complemented the graphics at the time, but then THQ changed the lighting and made everything a lot brighter when they brought in the Predator technology, and the graphics ended up looking a lot not so much cartoony but less realistic. So changing to a realistic style of lighting I think will give a much better presentation in my opinion. Switching to next gen, and it appears that the John Cena model that showed off the facial expressions was all that was actually shown of the game on next gen platforms, but the article does note that it almost looks real and you can even see the dimples on his face, which just goes to show how realistic the next gen version looks set to be. As for audio, as mentioned before, Cole and King have recorded audio together this year, which allows them to have more conversation between themselves instead of the one-line question and answers, with 30 to 35 hours of audio per announcer. And the ring that was set up in the mocap studio to record new animations, that too has had sound recorded for individual moves, so now when you see someone perform a backdrop, the sound effect won't just be a generic sound of someone hitting the mat, it'll be the actual sound of someone hitting a backdrop. So there we go, that's all the news from these articles, but going back to Jared's update, we were promised more news today, but with him noting that his update was originally set for Thursday but he posted it last night due to the information already starting to come out in the Game Informer article, I don't actually know if there'll be any extra news today, but if there is I'll be sure to report on it. So until next time, I'll catch you later.